But let's start with some NFL. We have a lot of college football discussed in the coming days, so we'll save a little sliver for you guys. But to start, NFL free agency happened this week, Davis. A lot to talk about. A lot to talk about, to be honest. Let's start with the biggest news of the week by far. Maxx Crosby deal was called off by the Baltimore Ravens. When that tweet hit my phone, I was like, "What is this? What? Why?"
It seems like a joke.
Adam Schefter must have, as a joke, was on the plane, just like, "Oh, look at this! Should I hit send?"
Yep.
But it was real because Rappaport followed up. It then comes out, I don't know, 30 seconds later from I think Rossini that he failed a medical. And I texted in our fantasy group chat, Davis, which you're in, and I was like, "What the hell must be a failed medical?" And you're like, "No, it can't be." And it turns out Crosby took a private jet there and did not fail physical. We can go into all this stuff and talk about it, but was he ever going to pass a physical? Like he just got his meniscus repaired in December, maybe a little earlier, but like I don't know how he would ever pass that. It doesn't seem like the Ravens really had any problems with it structurally, at least that they said. The only thing that came out was the Raiders said in a statement, the Ravens have, rescinded the trade and we have no further comment. And there really hasn't been much since other than he failed that physical, Davis. But my God, the Ravens then turned around the next day and signed Trey Hendrickson. And allegedly they were trying to pair him and Maxx Crosby. I think someone told the GM, what if we kept our 2 first-round picks and got Trey Hendrickson? I think that's kind of more of the story. But what was your feeling on this? Because that was insane.
Yeah, that was my conspiracy theory. That's my Watergate. That the Ravens had Trey Hendrickson ready to sign.
Yeah.
And again, in the back of their minds, they're like, "Oh, we don't have to give up 2 firsts for this guy, and he wants to come here."
Yep.
Oh, wait, Maxx Crosby, sorry, your knee is just not quite up to standard. So
yeah,
I mean, who knows? Who knows in the background what happens? But it was just almost too convenient that Trey Hendrickson
100%.
just first thing next morning signs with them on a 4-year deal.
Yeah, that was really weird. And the sleeper story in this, Davis, is how lucky the Raiders are because thank God they had over $100 million in cap space because the day before the Crosby trade was rescinded, they spent a shit ton of money. They probably spent, I think, $50 or $60 million on free agents. They brought in Kobe Dean, Quay Walker, Kwity Paye, a couple other guys I'm not thinking about, but Tyler Linderbaum, the Ravens center, they had quite the haul, and people were like, "Oh, this is impressive." And they thankfully are able to add Maxx Crosby to that haul. Thank God it worked out because I don't know if any other team had done that and then a player like Crosby comes back on your books. My God, that would suck. That would really suck because you got to.
It would have been a huge problem.
We can't actually do that deal that we agreed to.
Yep, and there are teams in the background like the Cowboys who were possibly second, and the Birds, but the Cowboys were specifically second in the running.
Yeah,
they just wouldn't give up 2 firsts. Pretty much, they were only giving up a first and a second.
Yeah,
then they go out and spend money, and once this Crosby trade gets rescinded, then they don't have the money to spend on Crosby's contract. So it was a whole kerfuffle, but it's going to work out, I think, because honestly, Ethan, not that I think they're going to do anything crazy, but the Raiders,
I know,
they look like they might have a future.
I know. Crazy. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. That we got to see what they do in the draft. I think everybody knows they're going to take Mendoza first, but we'll see what the Raiders are looking like come September because I agree. I think they could be very good in the next 2 years, let's say, because the division is going to be really tough next year. I mean, they're having a first-time coach. Not that I don't think Kubiak could be good. It's just, you never know what you're going to get with that. But wild story. Everyone was saying, I wonder what the price is now for Crosby. Where's he going to go? And he put out an awesome tweet and an excellent use of an Undertaker gif kicking down the coffin door. He's like, "I'm back." And it was the day he celebrated, I think, 6 years of sobriety.
Yeah, so I saw that.
I would assume that maybe in his mind, he was like, this is fate. So I like it. If Maxx Crosby can compete on this Raiders team, like I said last week, the Raiders are an awesome team to win with. So that would be pretty cool.
And is it crazy to say that the Raiders, or should I say Maxx Crosby, is actually underrated in this league just because he's been on a terrible Raiders team for the past 5 years, pretty much? Maxx Crosby is potentially the best defensive end in the league, and not that it gets overlooked. I think it gets a little overshadowed by the fact that he's not on a dominant team. If he was on the Chiefs for the past 5 years, he would be by far the best defensive end in the league just because of how much he gets talked about.
And you saw it because he would sometimes beat the Chiefs like himself. And you're like, oh, this guy's actually a stud. So crazy story this week. It seems like he's staying with the Raiders. Huge news. And actually, Dave, something just came across my desk. The Eagles are not trading A.J. Brown. They are not looking to move him at this time after serious consideration with the Rams and Patriots per The Athletic. This is all coming from Diana Rossini, who must have had some vendetta against A.J. Brown because she is the only person I've seen on this. Not that I don't want to discredit her, but like usually Schefter or Garofalo or Pelissaro will say something. Haven't heard anything. It looked like they were maybe making a move. But the big, side piece with that is apparently Goddard had a deadline on today on his contract to see if they're going to bring him back on some weird like non-tender. I don't understand what it is, but they could bring back Goddard now because of this. So I think this is good, right?
Yeah, no, I think this is good too. And last week I had actually pitched the idea of trading A.J. Brown for Maxx Crosby.
You did. And my cousin actually called me right after and said that too. So you were not the only person thinking that.
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. Because honestly, I hadn't heard anybody else talk about that. Of course, Maxx Crosby gets traded probably about 30 minutes after the podcast.
I forgot about uploaded. That. Yep.
Which is
that was really quick.
Well, there goes all of our clips for that.
Yep.
But anyway, I think A.J. Brown staying is great news. Like, obviously. And he... like we talked about last week, he's a little bit of a diva. He wants the ball, but I think that last year's issue was not a Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown issue. It was more of a play calling issue and where he was lining up and the routes that he was running. He was basically Michael Thomas's slant boy. He was becoming a hitch guy. Like all he was doing was hitches. And Kevin Patullo loves the hitch. And so now that he's out of town, we ran him out of town.
We sure did.
A.J. Brown, I think, is going to go back to being an all-pro, top 7 wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, and he's not dumb. I think he knows that. I don't blame him for wanting to look elsewhere possibly and go to, like, let's say the Patriots and get 10 catches, 180 yards a game and as many targets. But good for him. And I do want to highlight again, in the report, it says at this time, I would not be surprised if something happened around the draft or in the summer if AJ puts out a tweet that's like, I'm done. So, for now, I think we're okay. But again, this is not over. Let's swing around the league a little bit. You mentioned Kevin Patullo. He's actually with the Dolphins now. And the Dolphins, part of the new QB program is they released Tua Tagovailoa, and he now signed with the Falcons. So the Falcons have an all-lefty quarterback room, which I kind of like, actually.
It's interesting. I don't know.
It is very interesting.
Very much. But
and then the Dolphins turned around and signed Malik Willis, which I actually like a lot. A really good shot on a player who's looked great in his sporadic starts. Obviously, he hasn't really had a good, consistent start path since the Titans, and even then that was bad. So I don't know what the Dolphins are going to do. Some interesting moves going on with them as well. And they released Tyreek Hill. They traded Minkah Fitzpatrick. So very curious to see what the Dolphins are going to do, because clearly they know what they're going to do. They have a plan in mind, and they're going to follow that, which I respect.
Absolutely. And bringing in Jeff Hafley, and they're basically the Green Bay of the South now.
The Green Bay Dolphins,
the Green Bay Dolphins. That's what they want to do, and obviously they continued that trend by bringing in Malik Willis. I agree. I think the Dolphins actually could be sneaky, as in over
rebuilding the next couple of years.
Rebuilding the next few years. Like, curious to see how they can do, but I think that the change was needed. I mean, we all know Tua's issues. Off the field, on the field, like off the field, like medically, and on the field, Tua turning the ball over, or whatever you want to call him. But he's having some issues, and I think that having Tyreek Hill there definitely helped him out. But without Tyreek Hill, he was not really even a top 25 quarterback in the league, probably. So it'll be interesting with him on the Falcons.
I think it could work out. It could work out. He's had his moments. Yeah. He's looked good. We'll see.
I'm not a Penix person. He just hasn't shown it yet. Like, he doesn't get Drake London the ball when he's in the game. Like, Kirk Cousins was just doing what he needed to do and getting the Falcons to a 500 record. Like, Penix just wasn't really helping with that. But the one thing I saw this week is that Tua versus Penix, like spread wise of a game, Tua is worth one more point.
Interesting.
Penix, which I'm like, that's really interesting. Like,
I see that a little bit, and having an all lefty quarterback room allows you to not really change up your scheme too much. I know it's silly, but everything's going to go to the left. I like Stefanski for that. So, speaking of another good coach, Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings signed Kyler Murray yesterday, I believe. He was officially released, and he signed Davis for the veteran minimum, which is pretty cool deal for the Vikings. They can pay, you can say whatever you want about Kyler Murray, but he's worth more than the veteran minimum, in my opinion. Yes. Because the Cardinals are paying him $38 million this year, he's like, sure, I'll take an extra $1 million. Why not?
It's basically the Nick Castellanos deal that Kyler Murray just took. But I mean, honestly, I think this is the smartest possible move for him because 100%. Look at the backup
and the Vikings,
even and the Vikings. Agreed, because it's what a tough division. I mean, the NFC North is an absolute gauntlet.
Oh yeah,
it was last year, and it's going to be for years.
Only worse. Yep,
only worse. But Kevin O'Connell, we've seen these backup quarterbacks, not even backup, just quarterbacks come through. Sam Darnold, Super Bowl MVP now. Daniel Jones signed there after he got released by the Giants. Yep. And now Daniel Jones is the highest AAV paid quarterback in the league, $50 million.
Who would have
thought? Good for them. And obviously they, JJ McCarthy, we just haven't seen yet his full potential. But I'm not a huge JJ guy. But
yeah, I'm not either.
He has potential in this league to at least be a quarterback and not be in the league.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how Kyler maneuvers around that quarterback room, especially if the Vikings win a few games. Cause it's like, hey, are we rolling with the third year or the JJ, or are we going to roll with this veteran? It's crazy to call Kyler Murray a veteran, but
I know it is weird.
This guy, who's done it before, who's been the face of a franchise for years. So the Vikings, I think, they're going to have to make some moves to be able to compete in this division.
For sure. I think they were really sneaky good last year. It could be really a tale of how bad McCarthy was, to be honest, because their defense was still sick last year. They were in games with, McCarthy and whoever the backup was. I'm forgetting. Like, that team is
Max
Brummer.
Yeah,
Maxx Crosby from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. From the University of Minnesota, sorry. But I think this could work out really well. A rising tide lifts all ships, the classic saying. I think McCarthy and Kyler battling it out through the summer and early fall, like that's good for them. Especially when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson. Like, he's such a good receiver. I bet within the first couple of weeks, he's going to go up to Kevin O'Connell and be like, yeah, Kyler or JJ is putting it right on the money. He's got to start. Because that's what it comes down to. But I think JJ could figure it out. He tore his meniscus in the preseason his first year. He figured himself out. And, it's tough to adjust, especially, and I'm not saying this as a Penn State fan, but when you come from an offense in Michigan where you're like play actioning the whole time and like your goal is to run the ball, like, he wasn't challenged too much as a passer. So we'll see. I am scared of the Vikings a little bit now, but dude, free agency is all over the place. So just want to also mention the Eagles signed Tariq Woolen, which I love. Now have the best cornerback duo in the league, and I don't think it's close. Like, Quinyon and Reek, like, are you kidding me? That's lockdown city. And then also the Eagles signed, bear with me, Arnold Edebuke.
Penn Stater.
Penn State and Temple guy, right?
And Temple. He's Temple and then transferred to Penn State. Yep.
Big time Philly guy. So I like that. He's not the flashy signing, but
he's 8 sacks over the past 2 years.
He's very interesting. Yeah.
And we need the depth.
We really do. And I also want to bring up to you, there were some rumors this week about Josh Sweat reportedly requesting a trade. And apparently the Eagles and the Packers are the only two teams that are really interested, allegedly, which is, his former team and his former coach's team, John Gannon, who's the new DC for the Packers. So I would love Sweat back. Would you?
Oh, absolutely. Especially, again, like how thin we are, which is crazy to say that we're thin there right now because we've been stacked there. But losing Jalen Phillips definitely didn't help. I think Brandon Graham's coming back, but I want him as a depth piece, not
he's a great depth piece and a great leader and a great veteran. But I also want to mention the Phillips deal. He got $80 million guaranteed from the Panthers, so good for him. And
we
in
were
the process,
never going to pay that.
No. But in the process, it got us a 3rd round compensatory pick for next year. So we'll take that all day.
Yeah, Howie's stacking up the compensatory picks. We got 4 of them on day one alone
for this year.
Agency. So I think that those moves could be used for some more moves coming up soon.
Howie sprinkled his magic on Landon Dickerson, restructured his contract, and assigned him to like a 2-year extension or something that's up after the 2028 season, I believe, which actually took a season away, which I think means he's on his way out, which good for him because he's so beaten and battered and he already won a Super Bowl. So no blame there. But looking to see what happens with AJ Brown and some more random NFL stuff leading up to the draft. We'll start to get into the draft a lot more. But Davis, it's college basketball season.